So we're coming to the end of another year, and it's time to ask yourself, did you accomplish your goals? Unfortunately for me, I didn't. I mean, sure, I did achieve a lot this year. I'm not gonna act like it was a horrible year, but those big goals that I really wanted to accomplish, I didn't accomplish them, and I'm honestly kind of pissed about it. If you're like me, you're ambitious. You want to achieve big things. You can't stand the idea of being mediocre, yet I can't deny it feels like year after year I set these big goals and I don't end up achieving them. And I'm honestly getting tired of people telling me to be patient, trust the process, good things take time. I'm tired of hearing that shit. I just want to achieve my goals. I feel like I'm leaving so much on the table. I'm 27 years old at this point. I'm not trying to look back at another year and feel like it was wasted. So I had to sit down and have a hard conversation with myself about why I haven't achieved my biggest goals. And I came up with 5 big reasons for this. And if you're somebody who's been struggling to achieve your goals, I'm sure it's the same list for you. With that said, let's get into the 5 big reasons you are wasting your potential. Number 1, you think you're working hard, but you're not. I remember when I was 20 years old, a friend and I decided we were gonna start a drop shipping business. Now, to that point, we had both been drunks and stoners. We literally went to parties 5 nights a week. We got high every single day. So the idea of simply starting a business felt like this huge accomplishment to us, and we felt like we were working so hard just by doing that. But we had no idea what hard work actually looked like. Our idea of working hard was we would start working at 10 o'clock and then we would work till about 1 o'clock and then we would go get high and drive around in the rich person neighborhood in our town talking about all the houses we were gonna buy when we had a bunch of money. Needless to say, our business was not successful. In fact, I don't even think we made it through our 14-day free Shopify trial before we quit. But the point is, we really thought we were working hard, and in a way, compared to the people around us, we kind of were working hard. You see, it was the summertime, and so all of our friends were sleeping in till 11 o'clock, and then they were drinking at noon at the pool. So the idea of getting up at 9 and starting working on some business at 10 and putting in 3 hours of work on it felt like this massive accomplishment. Now, I've come a long way from that point. Obviously, I work much harder. In fact, that version of me could not even imagine the amount of work that I do today. But even still, I get reminded that I'm still not working hard enough to achieve my biggest goals. The truth is, if you aren't achieving your big goals, I promise you, you're not working hard enough. But the weird thing is it's actually hard to tell if you are working hard enough. We tend to define ourselves based on our reference groups. So like me and my friend, when I was 20 years old, we considered it hard work to get up at 9 in the summer and start working on a business at 10 because our reference group wasn't doing that. They were sleeping in later, they were getting drunk all day. And because we were comparing ourselves to them, we thought that we were working hard just because we were outworking them. But if we had compared ourselves to truly successful business owners and entrepreneurs, we would have realized we weren't working nearly hard enough. In fact, it was a complete joke the amount of effort we were putting in. So the big key to figuring out if you're working hard enough is having the correct reference group. So for example, if you're the only person in your friend group or your family that works out and you go work out once or twice a week for 30 minutes each time, you're gonna feel like you're working hard. But in truth, if you wanna have an amazing physique, you're not working nearly hard enough. The only way to make sure that you are working hard enough to achieve your goals is to compare your work ethic to people who have already achieved that thing. So you have to be honest with yourself and ask, am I doing the amount of work that other people have succeeded at this thing have done? So if you want to have an amazing physique, but right now you're working out 2 or 3 days a week and you feel like it's this big accomplishment because you're not drinking a milkshake every night, it's like, well, congrats, you're putting in a little bit more effort than people who aren't going to achieve your goal. But the people who are achieving this amazing physique, they're working out a minimum of 4 to 5 days a week. They're calculating their calories, they're making sure they don't eat a bunch of junk, they're getting enough protein, they're sleeping well. So the point is, there's levels to this shit, and when we're starting out in something, we have no idea what hard work actually looks like. And so we put in a little bit of work, we expect results, and then we get smacked in the face by reality when we realize that we weren't putting in nearly enough work. And usually, whatever it is you want to accomplish, you're gonna have to work 10 times harder to achieve that thing than you thought you were gonna have to work. In my career as a real estate agent, I use social media to get most of my business. And compared to other real estate agents, I look like this wizard on social media. They all think I'm amazing. They're all telling me how great of a job I do on social media. But the problem is most real estate agents don't get any business on social media. So the idea that I'm working harder than them on social media or I'm better than them at it really doesn't mean anything if my goal is to be very successful in real estate and do it primarily through getting business on social media. Be real with yourself, guys. You don't deserve success. You can only earn it if you do the amount of work that is required to get it. Number 2, doing everything but the one thing. So I watched this Alex Hormozy video the other night and it just knocked me on my ass, to be honest, because it was just so relevant for me. The point of the video was that there's all these different things you could be doing to improve. But there's one big thing that if you just improve that thing, it would solve most of your other problems. But the problem with this is that that one big thing is usually hard and uncomfortable. And it's a lot easier to focus on the little problems that we could solve and give ourselves a pat on the back for doing it. But if we don't address the really big problem, then all the other stuff we do is just not gonna make a difference. This was such a slap in the face for me because I realized I'd been making this mistake in my real estate business. I had all of these things that I felt like I needed to be doing to improve my business and get more clients and be more successful and make more money, but I was avoiding the one big thing that would have actually made the most difference. And that one thing was lead generation. The bottleneck in my business was I simply did not have enough leads coming in that I could turn into clients and close deals with. But the problem for me was that working on lead gen was like the last thing I wanted to do. It's way easier to think of all these fun, creative things I could do rather than thinking, oh crap, I gotta go make a bunch of phone calls and I gotta really improve my digital marketing strategy. I gotta learn Google SEO. I gotta write cards and mail them out to people and all these things to just get in front of people. It's way easier to think about some fancy little thing I'm gonna do over here that could pay off rather than doing the dirty work of actually getting better at the big thing that would make the most difference. And it's the same with you too. In your life, whatever you're trying to accomplish, what version of yourself you want to become, there's one big thing that I promise you would make the most difference. And it's usually that thing that you've been avoiding for a while and you know what it is. If you've been really wanting to get a girlfriend for a long time, you might be trying all these different things. There's tons of YouTube videos you can watch and you might be watching them. Somebody will tell you to go buy this certain outfit, do this kind of hairstyle, do this with your dating profile, all these little things that you can do that feel kind of easy and fun and make you feel like you're doing something. But the real problem deep down is like, you're just not going out and talking to women because you're scared to do it. And so all the hacks you do, they're not gonna fix your real problem. And so you keep doing those things, but the elephant in the room is still there. But the crazy thing is, if you just went and fixed that one big thing and learned how to talk to women well, all those other things would just kind of disappear. Having the world's best haircut really doesn't matter if you've just got game. So ask yourself right now, what is the one area of my life that if I improved that area, it would have the biggest impact on everything else? And then from there, you don't just want to stop with the one area, you want to burrow down deeper. You say, okay, this one area is the area that is holding me back the most that I need to improve on. Now within that one area, what is the one thing that would be the most powerful thing for me to change? So like for me, I figured out the most important area for me to improve was my career. The majority of my other problems would be solved if I just made a crap ton of money. And so that's the thing I need to focus on the most. And then I dive in on my career and I say, what's that big thing that's holding my career back? And it's lead generation. For you, maybe it's your health, and then you burrow down into that area of your life and you say, the biggest thing holding me back is that I'm not following a consistent diet. And so you can spend all your time trying new supplement hacks or walking on a treadmill a little bit longer, but if you don't just clean up your diet, then it's not going to have a huge impact. So this is the big mistake, is we all like to focus on shiny objects and go chase the easy thing that we can improve rather than sitting down and doing that one thing that would have the biggest impact on everything else. But if you don't do that, you're going to look back at another year wasted. Number 3, taking your feelings seriously. The thing about your feelings is they are completely irrelevant unless you decide to act on them. So for example, if you wake up one morning and you're feeling a lot of self-doubt, you're like, there's no way I could actually accomplish this goal. There's no way I could actually get in shape. It's hopeless. It's never going to work out. And you accept those thoughts and decide, you know what, you're right. I'm never going to accomplish this goal. Might as well not go to the gym. Well, you just turned your doubting mindset into reality by choosing to act upon it. If you had just gotten up and said, okay, yeah, I'm doubting it, but I'm just going to keep doing what I know I need to do, then the doubt never comes to reality. Feeling unmotivated to take action doesn't have anything to do with actually taking action. Just because you don't feel like following your diet doesn't mean that suddenly you physically can't follow your diet. You can still do it. This is one area I will say I made a ton of progress on this year. I did not realize just how much anxiety, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and things like that had been holding me back because I had accepted these beliefs about who I was, and they were creating the emotional state that I was living in, and I was acting on that state. I was convinced that everything in my life was going to fail. Why bother trying? This person's gonna hate me if I call them. They're gonna be so upset if I try and do business with them. This video's not gonna do well, so you might as well not put a ton of effort into it. What's the point? None of it's gonna work out. And I was allowing that to become my reality because I would act on it and it would affect my behavior. I started noticing how my doubts had nothing to do with reality. I could be full of self-doubt and still get a positive result. And then I could be full of confidence one day and still fail at something. And so how I felt had nothing to do with the results. I mean, sure, it's a lot easier if you're feeling confident to go out and take action, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Another big feeling that holds us back is fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failure. We obsess over this fear, and this keeps us stuck in this box where we're not taking action. How many of your goals have you either not attempted or you kind of half-assed your attempt at achieving it because you were afraid? But fear is just like every other emotion, meaning it's not actually real. And what you need to do when fear comes up or doubt comes up is you need to look at these things logically and ask yourself, okay, should I really be that afraid of this? Should I be so worried about this person's opinion? They're gonna be dead soon. I'm gonna be dead soon. I don't even know if they're actually thinking about me. I'm just imagining that they're thinking about me. Is it worth letting that person control my life? And then obviously the answer is no, and so you can get past all these emotions and just do what you know you need to do. Yet most people are controlled by their emotions, and that's why they don't achieve their goals. If you are inconsistent, lazy, or undisciplined, it is because you are controlled by your emotions, and if you don't fix that problem, you are going to stay stuck in life. Number 4, excuses. Anything you use as an excuse is something you decide to let stop you from achieving your goals, and whatever you use as an excuse is also where you're pointing the finger of blame. One area that I did not realize until recently that I was making tons of excuses in was patience. I hope this is insightful to a lot of you. This was a really big eye-opener for me recently, was realizing how patience can be used as an excuse. It's very trendy to say things like, you know, trust the process, good things take time, yada, yada, yada. But real talk, if you're saying I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve in life because good things take time, or you gotta be patient, or you gotta trust the process, you're making an excuse for why you don't have it, and you're blaming time for why you don't have what you want. And yes, things do take time to happen, but there's a difference between a person who loses 20 pounds in a year and a person who loses 20 pounds in a month. And if it's taken you a year to do something that somebody else did much quicker, then the excuse that it takes time is actually not true. The real problem is you're not doing what you should be doing. You're either not doing enough work or you're not doing the right stuff. But the point is, it's actually your fault. And using time as an excuse, blaming the fact that things take time and being patient, and I'm just chilling and waiting for things to come in, is actually you not taking responsibility for the fact that you don't have what you want because you're doing something wrong. And so I was doing this a ton in my career, and I'd been doing it for a long time. I kept with this whole mindset of trust the process, you guys stick with things. And it's kind of like that mindset is better than the impatient mindset where you do something one time and then you give up because it didn't work. It's like the evolution of that is learning to be patient with the process, but then that becomes this excuse in and of itself where you're not actually putting in as much work as you could be putting in. You're kind of going through the motions, and you're telling yourself the reason I don't have what I want is just because it takes time. But you should be careful about using this excuse and be honest and be like, okay, am I actually actually doing everything I possibly could be. So like in my real estate career, I would post content on social media and I would tell myself, hey, it just takes a while for this thing to build up. And yes, it is true that you do have to build up a clientele in the real estate space. But me telling myself this meant that I never went back and actually looked at what I was doing, was like, could I do this any better? Sure, maybe it's gonna take, 3 months, 6 months for this thing to really start to build up some, but what if I just did it better and I got the same result in a couple weeks or a month? Is that possible? I never asked myself the question. I never went back and looked because I kept telling myself, you just gotta be patient, wait around. The harsh truth is if you have free time and you aren't using it to move towards your goals, then patience is just an excuse. And it's okay if you want to use that excuse. If you're willing to make things take longer than they actually need to happen because you'd rather go, play video games some or hang out with your friends or go out on a boat or whatever it is you want to do, that's okay. We all have to make those trade-offs. And I'm not saying I work 24/7. I've got other things I want to do as well. But just understand that you could be doing more and you could be doing things better, and telling yourself that you just gotta wait on good things to happen is an excuse. Number 5, not knowing how to do what you know you need to do. So most of the time we know what we need to do, but the problem is we know what we need to do in this very vague sense. So for example, if somebody's trying to get better with women and you tell them, oh, you just need to get better at talking to girls. It's like, okay, I know I need to get better at talking to girls, but what the heck does that actually mean? How do I actually do that? So we've got these things that we know we need to do, but they're not brought down to a specific level where it's tangible and we can actually work on something specific. And what happens when we do this is we create all this anxiety because we know there's this thing we absolutely have to get better at that's holding us back, but we keep telling ourselves over and over again, I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. And we just keep running that track over and over again and it drives us insane. But if we take you need to get better at talking to women and actually break it down into something you can take action on, like you need to hold eye contact and have a strong voice when you're communicating with them, well, those are tangible things you can go work and improve upon. So basically the point is we kind of know what it is we need to be improving, but we don't actually know how to improve upon it. And the hard part is sitting down and taking the thing we need to get better at and breaking it down into tangible skills that we can improve upon so that we can eventually become better at that whole thing. For example, in my career, I knew I needed to get better at sales and overcoming objections. And that was this big thing that was hanging in my head for a long time. I need to get better at this. I need to get better at this. But I kept telling myself, I don't know how to do it. What do I do? What do I do? And then I finally sat down and said, okay, I'm going to write down every single situation that I actually need to get better at. I need to get better at handling a price objection when a client says that something's too expensive. I need to get better at handling the objection when a client says I need to think about it before they decide they're going to make a purchase and work with me. I need to get better at doing presentations with potential clients. So I got very specific on the exact things I needed to get better at. And then I went on YouTube and I just found scripts for all of these specific situations. Then I practiced them and got better at them. And now I've solved that problem. And suddenly it's gone from I need to get better at sales to this thing that I broke down into tangible things. And now I am better at sales because I fixed those specific things. If you find yourself not knowing what to do, it's because you haven't broken the thing down into specific enough steps that you can take action on. A lot of people know they need to work out, but they don't actually know how to work out. How many sets should I do? What exercises should I do? Should I be doing cardio or should I be doing weight training? Should I be doing high intensity interval training or should I be taking 3-minute breaks in between each set? How do I diet? All these things, like these questions come into their mind and there's all this anxiety around what to actually do. But if you can answer all of these small questions and figure out how to do all of these little things, it turns into you actually going and working out and getting the results you want. And this is hard work. It is hard to get yourself to sit down and actually break this stuff down into actionable steps and then take action on them. It's a lot easier to tell yourself, oh, I just don't know what to do and throw up your hands. But the alternative to doing all this work is sitting around feeling anxious and failing at your goals once again. Hopefully you guys can remember these lessons so that you don't make these mistakes as we go into the next year. I know personally these are things that I am hell-bent on making sure don't hold me back, and I'm really committed to not wasting my potential in 2025. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.